Okay. Hey, are you Ian Nethercott, the host of the Auto Hub show?
War is tough, but peace is about thinking ahead of the challenges and getting it done.
There are lots of experts in automotive who talk about the problems. The Auto Hub show is all about solutions. Ready for the solutions? Let's get this masterclass started live right now.
If you look at the last 4 years, Ian, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. The customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
Hey, I'm Vince Delmonico, General Sales Manager with Cruise Ford Lincoln. Larry Feldman came out and did one of our training courses. Absolutely incredible. I sat through the course myself. The engagement that our salespeople gained from it, the excitement that he brings, it was a new way of looking at things that we're already doing and how we can improve them. Love it. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread.
My name's Fareed Ahmed. I'm the founder and CEO of DSMA. So why should you use DSMA to sell your most valuable asset? The answer is very simple. It's our unparalleled approach to our clients' needs and satisfaction. Remember, DSMA, we're real people doing real deals.
Meta, Instagram, social, and your team is still waiting for ups like it's 1999. Let's be honest, your market isn't watching TV commercials, they're double tapping and engaging with your competitors on social media posts. People are shopping these days for cars and servicing their vehicles in between watching cat videos. That's where we can help. Retail Resilient is the go-to authority for social selling in the car industry. Whether you're a new car franchise dealer, an independent, a buy here, pay here, a broker, a dealership owner or manager, we have something for you. Remember, when your lot is quiet, it means your social media is not loud enough. Check us out at retailresilient.com so we can retarget you on our social media feeds.
Good morning. So I was talking earlier a little bit on the pre-show about Walmart and car sales. I know that the show isn't about that, but the company's called Car Saver, just in case you didn't already know. So we're going to go with who was first. What I want you to do is introduce yourself and answer the following question. Should dealers embrace the Amazon model in 2026? And we're going to start with, is Radix? Is that your last name? Or you're muted.
It's Alex.
Oh,
yeah,
it's Alex.
Alex. Yeah, it's Alex Saunders.
Okay, no problem. Alex, sorry. So go ahead, Alex.
So my name's Alex Saunders. I'm with Radix Holdings. We work on marketing and revenue generation for dealerships, helping them to increase their sales volume through AI-driven campaigns and structured programs like our buyback program, which can add 30 sale units per month. So I'm looking at Amazon Auto not just as a disruption, but as a massive shift in how consumers demand, how consumers demand is created and captured. Sorry, what was your question again?
Should dealers embrace the Amazon model if given that opportunity?
I mean, I think Amazon, if they get hot on it, I mean, I'm not really sure, to be honest. So I don't know. It's a complicated market when it comes to that.
Well, to give you some numbers, because I know people are asking, the goal was to sell 10,000 to 50,000 vehicles per year for scaling. Currently, they're at about, if they get there, it would be 0.5% market share. So that's kind of where their thought process is. Anyway, let's go with Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Thanks for that. Alex?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Nelgrove. I'm the CEO and founder of Reputation Sensei. We help dealers generate reviews and testimonials and then market those testimonials and reviews to the localized area for that dealer, helping them communicate trust in their marketing efforts. The question is, should dealers embrace the Amazon model? I think it's another lead source for them. From the dealers I talked to, they're not getting a lot of play from it currently. Maybe that will change. I think it might be good for the consumer who, quite frankly, doesn't want the whole, that has anxiety around the negotiation process. What I don't like about it is it eliminates the human factor. One of the things that we really preach at Reputation Sensei is customer experience. And we always say that, every transaction should begin with an exceptional customer experience. You should have your teams focused on that, and that'll make getting reviews and testimonials easier. So, again, I will tell you that I bought a car recently from Carvana, or tried to buy a car from Carvana, and it was an absolute disaster. I ended up, returning the car, and I absolutely hated it. Now I know that the Amazon model is a little bit different because you're going to take delivery at the dealership. But my whole thing is, if dealerships focus on really delighting customers with an exceptional experience when they come in, and delighting them, taking care of them, then they don't have to worry about online model. That's
fantastic. Thanks for that. Jason Scott.
Hey, my name is Jason Scott, and thank you for having me on the show today. Appreciate that, Ian.
No problem.
I'm a dealer. I'm an automotive influencer. I'm a consultant, and I'm all things automotive. So I get to hear from a lot of different aspects throughout the community, especially the automotive community, which is a tight-knit group. And we love our people. We always say that for years and years. People are our greatest asset, and I don't think that's going to change. Amazon is not coming for your dealership. Amazon is handing you warm customers so that you can embrace that customer with the relationships that you already have. Most dealers have 65 to 80 employees at the dealership, and their sole focus is taking care of the customer. So I don't think it's going to be one or the other. It's not Amazon or the dealer. It's Amazon and the dealer. Amazon controls 90% of all buyers that are out there on the market. And I think it's 60 to 70% of every customer that comes in through Amazon is new to that dealer. So they're new customers, new lead sources. So again, I don't think it's going to be Amazon or the dealer. It's going to be Amazon and the dealer.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. Mr. Larry Feldman, what do you think? I mean, you talk to a lot of dealers. Are they scared about Amazon? Do they think that's going to take over? What do you think?
They're scared of everything. I think you need to embrace every single avenue you possibly can. Amazon, Walmart, your dry cleaner, so you can put your business card up on the corkboard. Listen, I've been around the car business a while. I remember when dealers thought it was a pain in the ass to wholesale, to deal with used cars, so they would wholesale them out. I've seen every kind of stupidity. You need to attack every venue you possibly can. And to dial in what Chris said, hey, by the way, if you're dealing with this one or that one, you can still come here for service. We welcome you and we embrace you, because we're going to see more and more as AI gets more and more sophisticated and entrenches even more. There's going to be a huge desire for human beings. Over the weekend, I had a small headache. And after about an hour, I was ready to commit homicide, because there's just certain companies where there was nobody to talk to. There's no phone number. There's no human being. And I don't think I feel any differently than anybody else. We want somebody to respond, to smile at us, and to make our life a little easier.
Thanks for that. Peter, what do you think? I mean, Amazon's not a small player.
Well, I'm excited that we've actually got Chris on the phone, because Chris, his core business is about online reputation, things like that. And one thing Amazon does very well is they provide a very seamless, enjoyable customer experience. I mean, literally, I was at a dinner the other night, and my friend told me about something I needed to have for my Sea-Doo. He immediately opened up his Amazon account, sent me the thing. I was able to order it. I mean, it took 4 minutes. It's very seamless. Amazon is going to cause a lot of disruption in the auto industry, because what they're trying to do, and this is what I'm taking away from it, they're trying to control that customer relationship. They're going to bring business, like everyone talked about. They're going to bring business, and eventually they're going to be sending in, customers, and they're going to come into the dealership. They're probably going to be already have the vehicle they want. It's already been selected, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, they're probably already going to have the financing taken care of, because Amazon's all about a money grab. So they could, capture and grab the money. They're going to do that as well. So now the dealers are going to become the delivery point. The key here for the dealers to be successful, in my personal opinion, is this: we cannot let Amazon steal and control that customer relationship. We have to understand they're coming from Amazon, so they're expecting that Amazon style relationship, but we have to make sure that we do everything we can within the dealership to make sure they have a great customer experience, and we keep that customer for service, because that's where we're going to make money. Because we're not going to make money selling the cars, because Amazon is going to become a pricing game, and we're going to be selling cars at invoice or a little above invoice. So we have to make sure that we control that customer. Where we make the money on those deals is going to be in service.
100%. So if I think I want to start here with Jason. I mean, if you're debating obviously Amazon versus not Amazon, how would you look at it from a pros and cons perspective?
Again, going back to the people, it's very important, but the average dealer is making $3,200, $3,300 a copy. Last stats that were out over at NADA, and it's already been stated that the average customer that goes through Amazon is paying $93 more as compared to actually going into the dealership. The big problem is you're spending a lot of time. I think the last stat that came out was 14 hours and 15 hours that a customer was spending over at the dealership. So is it worth the 15 hours just to save the $93 a month? To some people, yes. Other people, no. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a hybrid model coming up where you need to adapt, you need to change. We already know so many people buy online, especially through Amazon. Like I said, 90% of the market. So it's going to be a blend between the two. I don't think Amazon is trying to replace the dealer or come after the dealer and take their business away. They're just putting the car in the cart and handing it off over to the customer, and then you can negotiate a little bit from there, create your relationship. You got to go back for after services, arranging financing. Not everyone's just cut and dry or one size fits all. So I think you're going to see a blend between all of it, and I compare it quite frequently to the electric shift, where everyone said, "Oh, you got to get on this EV thing," and so many manufacturers just put billions of dollars into this EV model. And the ones that kind of came out on top was Toyota, saying it all along that it's not going to be just EV, it's going to be hybrid. And they doubled down on hybrid, and look who's coming out on top.
100%. I love that comparison when you're looking at it. I mean, it's not all or nothing there. You really got to look at it and say, okay. And I kind of compare it to people years ago who used to buy invoice pricing or used to have cost pricing. I mean, is that an area that you want to sell a lot of cars in? Not necessarily, but they are still customers. That doesn't mean that they're going to buy it for that. So at the end of the day, knowing that the customer's online for a long time today, much longer than most people think, if you can entice that customer to at least engaging, especially if they're not one of your customers initially, that's probably a smart move. Let's go with Chris. What do you think?
So what question are we on? Because I'm
if I put your dealer hat on and you're saying, okay, I can do Amazon or I cannot do Amazon, I have a choice. Why would I choose one versus the other? Like, how would I make that call?
I mean, I think listen, like Jason said, I think it's it's not either or. It's another lead source for them. What I don't like is there's no reviews on Amazon about the dealer or even the car. And Amazon was one of the first companies to ever introduce reviews. So I'm wondering where the reviews are. It's pretty shocking that they haven't introduced that yet, or they don't have it. So again, I think for the dealer, the dealers I've talked to, they're not exactly getting a lot of leads yet from it. Maybe we're early. So I think that they definitely have the market right. They everyone has Amazon, so if they can figure it out, maybe they produce a new lead source for the dealers. But I understand, from my understanding, the dealer doesn't get to talk to the customer and negotiate until they get to the store, and the price has already been negotiated by Amazon. I think they can negotiate on finance options and extra products and services in finance.
My understanding, based on a comment here, is it's a hybrid experience. So maybe that's why there's no reviews, because they can only kind of review the Amazon side. There probably isn't enough data yet, I would expect, to review the dealer side, but that does sound like kind of a misstep.
Okay, so I'm looking at a vehicle online right now.
Yeah.
It says about the dealership. It's showing the dealer, but no reviews under that specific dealer. Hertz Car Sales Morrow.
Okay.
No reviews. So maybe if I click through, I'm looking at dealer details, still no reviews. So again, maybe we should call Jeff, Mr. Jeff himself, Bezos, and ask about it.
And one of the challenges that what I'm struggling with too is some of the stuff I've read is that they're going to be price comparing between several dealers, which so there's a lot of things, so Chris, from what you're seeing, are you looking at one particular dealer or are you looking at multiple dealers?
Well, I'm looking at a used vehicle.
Okay, well, that's different.
Okay, so let me look at a new one and I'll tell you.
Now, Chris, that's a really good point that you're bringing up, looking at a used vehicle right now, because, Hertz is selling a lot of vehicles online, and you had 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many senators reach out to Amazon. I think it's Andy Jassy, the new CEO. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. But reached out to him and said, you guys are selling vehicles with recalls on them. And you know what Amazon's response was? Just go on a recall website and see if it's got a recall. We're going to sell it either way. So dealers are going to protect you. They're going to check the vehicle. They're going to put it through an inspection. They're going to do all these things. But if you're going on Amazon, you might get a recalled vehicle that puts you in a safety concern.
Well, interesting you say that, Jason, because Carvana was pretty much the same thing. The vehicle that I was looking at had a recall on it, and it was the large engine for the Denali, the Yukon Denali, 6.2 liter, which had an open recall. They were going to sell it to me anyway. I talked to the dealer, all the dealers I talked to, and asked them about it. They said, Chris, it's like if the engine needs to be replaced, you get a brand new engine. I was like, great. But it was interesting that they were willing to sell a vehicle that had an open recall on it, on Carvana.
Yeah, I mean, we got another comment. Are they in the leasing game? I don't know. So, on the financing side, I know initially they started just in new car sales, but now I know they're doing certified for some brands as well. So, Alex, what do you think?
Well, going back again, yes, I do think they're going to take market share. Not all of it, but enough to force a complete shift in how cars are sold. And, it's going back to the recall stuff there. It's kind of scary knowing that you have people out there selling stuff, with recalls on it. I certainly wouldn't want to buy one. I definitely look at either a lease or a new buy. So, if they're not doing leases, I mean, that's going to save the dealerships definitely. And, it's, there's always new things happening on every single industry, and I think one of them is all these digital people, everyone who's on a computer, all the younger guys out there, they will definitely give it a try, I'm sure. It's the same as Tesla selling everything online. I think everything's gradually shifting that way, but it's not going to shift overnight. So I think dealerships are pretty safe. Everyone's still going to have to go back to the dealerships for services and what have you. So I mean, dealerships are there definitely to stay. And I don't think that's going to shift in the near future. But there's no harm in Amazon trying to do what they're doing.
It looks like you can lease, but very limited.
Very limited.
Yeah, not on used cars.
Okay, so I didn't see that.
Yeah. So if you are looking to lease, it's possible, but very limited. Certain markets only. So really, that's still up to the dealer. So I think at the end of the day, to talk about Jason's thought process, if I get more leads with people who maybe start the buying process on Amazon, and I'm able to then convert them into a lease or add products, that is another lead source that I don't have right now. I'm not exposed to. And, it's not like it's a small company. It's a large company. So when you compare it to companies like CarSaver on the Walmart side, it's a little bigger company, I think.
And I guess, if you do buy through Amazon and you do take your car to the dealership, you're going to take it in there for a service, and your dealer is going to try and upsell you and try and get you into something different anyway. So, you're getting a client from them anyway at the end of the day.
The other piece is there are some states, I think someone mentioned it earlier, that it's illegal to actually broker. And this kind of falls, in my opinion, as they're actually brokering a car. At the end of the day, the franchise model is a franchise model, so they're going to do a lot to protect it. But I think Amazon's have a little challenge there because, they're not getting the cars directly from Ford. They're not getting it from Hyundai. They have to get them through a dealer. So there has to be a model that makes sense for the dealer, but also where Amazon, could do their magic, as they like to say.
Yeah,
on that point,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to bring up, because you were mentioning the leasing thing. I believe currently, and I could be wrong, but I believe currently you can only lease a Hyundai.
Yep, that is 100% correct.
That should be kind of eye-opening. Jose Val's over at the CEO over at Hyundai. He's very aggressive, and they have gained a ton of market share. And he's taken new approaches to grow their market share, grow their business. We all know Hyundai is on the up and up, and they're doing some pretty cool things. Jose coming out and putting leasing right on the Amazon platform. He's doing something pretty cool, and dealers really should start paying attention because Hyundai's come up quite a bit over the years.
That's a great point. Yeah, when you think about Hyundai back in the early 80s and where they were and where they are today, there's been a lot of change, especially with the market changing across the board with every OEM lately. I think Hyundai is definitely on a tear there. And as you look at it, and they were talking a little bit about this on the articles I was reading on it, which is basically that, yeah, it's a percentage, but they are pushing over the next 1 to 3 years. And when I look at Amazon Autos 3 years ago at NADA, they weren't there at the show, but they were definitely there meeting with dealers. And they waded into the water, not like TrueCar did back in the day. So I think there was definitely a focus on let's get this right. Now, what that looks like for used cars, what that looks like for other brands, I think that's really going to be sort of customized to that OEM or that dealer body. Because I know even when they started with Hyundai, they were very specific about what dealers they were going to work with. So I think that's another piece is it may not be for all dealers. But when you're looking at dealerships, and I think this was true in the early days, they basically said, hey, it's only going to be cash purchases. It's only going to be certain dealers. And I think that's still somewhat the case where there's still a vetting process. So it's not necessarily every dealer. But as you see the collapse or the scaling down of online marketplaces, I think you're going to see a rise of new marketplaces. And I think Amazon and Walmart and others are in that area. When you look at what happened with when CarGurus entered the market against Auto Trader, I think there was definitely some movement there. But I think now that's moving again. So when you look at dealerships and when you look at brands like Hyundai, for example, or even the certified programs, do you think this is going to move the needle in the certified side? The used side I hadn't had much exposure to, but do you see that as a huge help on the used side? Jason, you want to comment on that on the used side?
Yeah, and I apologize. I said Jose Valls, who is from Nissan, but Jose Munoz from Hyundai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
On the used car side, again, it's kind of going back to they have 90% of the market, and 68% of the customers that are coming in the door off of one of these lead sources are brand new to the dealer. And that's one sector. So that's going to add to your business. You can start selling some used cars. But more importantly, you get someone that is credit challenged, and I'm not knocking anyone, but it's embarrassing to go into the dealership and say, hey, here's all my cards on the table. I've had a bankruptcy. I went through a divorce, whatever the case may be. So a lot of times these folks are submitting online applications first so that they can spare themselves the embarrassment. And a majority of those customers are leaning towards used cars because they think that's going to be the most affordable choice or option. There's a lot of hood money or dealer money that's on the table that they can help overcome negative equity on a new car. But on the used car side, a lot of these folks are going to push into this arena where they can get their financing taken care of. They can pick a car that they like. They can see all the details on it, and I'll save them that embarrassment that goes along with, show me all your financial history and everything else. So I do think there's going to be more and more lead sources that come through there. I don't know if they're going to be able to get financed on them, but at the same time, you're going to see a lot of folks coming through on that lead funnel.
Yeah, because I mean, there's lots of talk too on the used car acquisition side of the business, and and even on the trade-in value side. I mean, if you can create a better experience front to back, whether it be new or used or both, that's a huge plus, especially when you look at it long term. And I'm seeing this kind of like these credit card comparison sites where they can compare all this stuff very like front to back. And that's an advantage for the dealer that's ahead of the curve. And also for the customer who just, basically wants to make it a little easier. I thought it was really interesting that you brought up I'm nervous about putting stuff on a site because I may not have perfect credit. That's a large portion of some markets. In some markets, it's as high as 40%. So that's a big number. And I'm actually kind of surprised that they're not chasing that a little more, but I think you have to start somewhere. What do you think, Alex?
I think, there's a lot going on with the dealerships. I think, there's still great deals out there. I mean, Amazon's just something new to the market for people to taste, and there'll be some people who grab it, but I think at the end of the day, everyone's gonna go down either booking through the internet or going in person. I mean, I would definitely give it a try, going through the web process of doing it that way. I don't have time sometimes to even pick up my kids from school. So, doing everything online helps a lot. I mean, the last car I got was through Mercedes, so, it does take a little bit of time when you're in the dealership, going through all of your documentation to get your financing and everything in order. I think if you're doing it online ahead of time, it's going to definitely cut down the time you spend in the dealership. I hate spending hours waiting on, paperwork, getting all your credit checked out. So I think, some people will definitely benefit. Like you say, you don't want to tell everyone what's going on in your life. So, if you can do it online, it's definitely going to, save that embarrassment for some people, so, maybe you will attract a few more clients through that avenue. Personally, I like the online route. I do everything online. So, that's just the way I look at it. If it was open, I mean, the last car I got, like I said, was a Mercedes. If I could have done it all online, I would have done it online. Now I don't want to even take my car in for a service, but I've got to bloody take it in for a service. So I wish someone would just pick up the car and do everything for me.
Well, we have had a number of shows recently on remote service and fleet service even. And it's amazing the retention numbers when you look at that remote service or the fleet service side. But to your point, not only do they pick up service in terms of making it easy for the customer if they go to their office or home, they tend to pick up work in that community because people are like, really, I can get it done, at my house or my office. I mean, I recently serviced my car last week, and I was hit with stuff that no one has ever even asked me that I want to do on a car. And I'm like, I've been doing this 26 years. You're hitting me with stuff I've never heard. I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, well, what is that? Like, what are you trying to sell here? Please explain. It was kind of interesting. Peter, what do you think?
I think it was interesting what Jason brought up about leasing, because we've had a couple shows we've talked about leasing. I remember we got a show coming up. I was just looking on my screen in the future about the how do you present payments, and leasing we've been talking about is kind of like a lost art. A lot of people don't know how to present leasing, and that may be an area where this could really become beneficial, because I'm going to look worst case scenario. I believe at some point in the future, Amazon's going to get involved in this, like kind of like the smart auto people are doing, all the pre-negotiation, and the customer's going to show up at the lot and say, hey, I'm interested, this is my car, I already ordered it through Amazon, where do I pick it up? Because they want that seamless process, and they're going to have the financing available. Well, if they come in, the financing isn't closed yet, and they're at, a $600 payment a month, is now going to give the dealer an opportunity to flip them over to leasing, because, oh, by the way, did you know that we have a purchase option plan where now I get your payment down $200 a month? The dealers have got to start thinking strategically about what's going to happen and really carefully watch what Amazon's going to try and do, because yes, we're going to save them for that, but we lose the finance income or the lease income, that's going to hurt us bad as a dealer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you got to look at it as an opportunity, but more importantly, you got to see where it's going. So we know through the pandemic that some people are charged more than normal for cars, and we know that brand loyalty isn't what it once was. But also, it's going to come down to experience. And I've been talking about this now for 7 or 8 years, even though I talked about it before that. If you can create a better experience online, then that's got to kind of match what they get when they come into the store. And to Alex's point, I don't even want to go there for service. I just want the car to work, and then every couple of years I want another one or whatever. What do you think, Chris?
Well, hey, before you jump to Chris, let me just finish on what you were just saying.
Yeah.
And go back to Alex. Alex's business, that we didn't introduce him, his business does a lot of the event sales. And I remember back in the day, event sales were great. Then they literally disappeared. And then we had the whole COVID thing where people were just ordering cars. The challenge dealers have today, and I think Jason, I want you to touch on this too after Alex, but dealers for the first time ever, they actually have inventory. Things are getting competitive. I work with a lot of ad agencies out there, and their business is starting to pick up because dealers are now, for the first time in the last, let's say 5 years, they've number one had the inventory, but now they've got to compete with other dealers because now they're fighting to get those customers in. And that's why Alex's business has kind of popped back up and is booming, because dealers are like, wait, it wasn't working in the past. Oh, we did event sales. Let's find out some people do event sales. But, I'm seeing a lot more competition because something changed, and the dealers, when we talk about this in some other shows, the salespeople have got to go from being a order taker to an actual salesperson. So Alex, why don't you touch on that a little bit, what you're seeing, because that inventory issue is going to change things, especially with this Amazon conversation.
Yeah, so I mean, with Radix, we do the marketing into the dealership. So I mean, we're getting a lot of interest from dealerships with our buyback program. So, getting the word out there, getting people to come in and getting them, that's the biggest thing, is getting them to come into the dealerships through our buyback program and getting them to buy cars. I mean, we sell probably about 30 plus, the dealership will sell at least 30 plus cars for our marketing campaigns, which is a huge benefit for them when you've got people like Amazon on their doorstep now. So, it's a huge benefit for dealerships to have these programs that can bring new leads, new clients in through the local community.
But are you seeing it more competitive out there with the dealer market in general?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing it out there. I mean, there is more competition out there. I mean, the amount of times even I go through my mailbox and the amount of flyers I see from the dealerships in my area, it's kind of crazy. I mean, everyone's fighting to sell cars, and they're trying to do it any way they can. And I think going through things like our buyback program will definitely bring them new clients in, and you're incentivizing them to come in through buyback program benefits.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think? I mean, are you seeing more competition with the stores that you're involved in, as far as how much inventory and what they're actually having to do advertising wise? You're on mute, by the way.
A lot of things have changed over the years, and Ian, you brought it up really quick, just, what happened during the pandemic and where we're at now. And I think one of the most critical things that we kind of gloss over all too often is dealership satisfaction is at an all-time high. It dropped down to 44% during COVID. People were paying too much. They were paying $10,000, $20,000 over a sticker. It pissed a lot of people off. And the dealers started realizing we really need to take care of these customers. And we need to double down on it. Toyota, Honda, a lot of manufacturers introduced retention scorecards where you got to really take care of the customer, bring them back. They got to hit the dealership a couple times a year, which is critically important. So what I'm seeing as far as inventory goes is that at the OEMs that really put a focus on that have a 10 to 15 day turn cycle. Toyota has a 10 to 15 day amount of inventory on the ground at any given point in time. And I'm not knocking any of the domestic brands, but you have some of them that have 186 day supply. There's a dealer right up the street from me, a domestic brand that has 186 day supply of vehicles. And it goes back to, we're not in COVID anymore. We're not just order takers where we say, there's the vehicle, you're going to pay too much money for it and get out because I need to move on to the next one. It is the relationship. It is focusing on taking care of the customer and doubling down on that aspect. And that's why you're seeing a lot more dealer satisfaction, and the employees are coming back to the dealerships and keeps on going up and up. So the dealers that are really doing it right are the ones that are keeping a lean supply, making sure that they control their inventory. The managers are looking at it every single day. They're not putting too much in, but their main focus is not on the cars. It is on the customer experience and life cycle of the customer.
100%.
Talking my language, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at customer experience and why those problems existed was because customers weren't happy with that. But more importantly, when you look at it, and to your point, Jason, you see a lot of inventory on the ground. Now, that's partially a dealer problem, but it's also the manufacturer saying, hey, what am I going to do with all these cars I made, right? So I think it's going to be interesting since you're seeing also tariffs impact that. So I think it's definitely going to be interesting from a new and used perspective as we roll into the spring and summer now that we're in that season. What do you think, Chris?
What I like about it is the fact that you can cut down on the time that it takes to buy a car, because that is the number one complaint today, is it takes too long. And that is only solved by digital retailing. So if you can cut down on the amount of time spent at the dealership, I think that's a positive. One thing that I think is a negative is they don't allow home delivery right now, to my knowledge. And is that correct, that they do not allow it? You have to pick the car up at the dealership?
I think you're 100% right there.
Yeah. So I don't like that because, I'm talking to, stores across the country, and I recently talked to a Porsche store, and they deliver cars to the house. Why wouldn't Amazon let that be done? But one of the fears that I would have if I was a dealer is if Amazon can prove that they can sell cars, Jeff Bezos might try to eliminate the dealership model and sell direct. So that's a possibility. I mean, he's proven that he can sell almost anything online, right? He started with books and now he sells everything. So if he can sell cars and he can prove that model, it could edge out the dealers in the future.
They're saying not yet. And the reasons are, number one, franchise laws. Number two, logistics complexity. Number three, dealer relationship.
That's what I think is going to always hold true is, most people still want that experience of going in, touching the car. I'm one that I want to go and I want to test drive the car. Like I went and looked at a Tesla, and the guy was, walked in the showroom. He took my information, took my wife and I outside, put us in the car, stuck his head in the window, gave me a 5-minute tutorial, and then sent us on our way. And I'm driving this car. I have no idea how anything at all works. I drive it. I do a test drive route. I come back to the store, drop it off, and I'm like, I wouldn't buy that car just because I wasn't educated. I need to be educated. I want that salesman in the car going, here's how it works. I want the full experience. And I think a lot of people feel that way because I don't think it's a bad product. In fact, I think it might be beneficial in some cases. One of my friends is a chiropractor, and his car drives him to work every day. He doesn't even touch the wheel. He just, it's an hour commute each way. And he doesn't have to do a whole lot. So again, I think that the people want the dealership experience, and I think that they're going to continue to want it. And but is there a place for the retail maybe to start online and then move to this dealership? Yes. So,
but you brought up a point there. So let's just say you could shrink the process from 8 hours or 5 hours to an hour. Probably the pickup at the dealership isn't that negative, but if it's I do it all online, then I show up and it's still 5 hours, then that's kind of a challenge. So I think it's going to Alex's point, you're going to push the dealer to eventually get that all ironed out. So it's a very small percentage of the time at a dealership, but the long-term strategy, I think, with Amazon is probably if we can get it delivered, much like everything else we deliver, since we already have a logistics company, that's interesting. But I think where it really comes to bear is on the insurance documentation side. And I think that depends on your state of your market. But
not so much that, but from a dealer's perspective, just to give you guys a little insight.
Yeah.
There's no cooling off period. A customer, if you deliver it to their house, there's a lot of fraud, and they're very good at this fraud nowadays. Yeah. So we got to be very conscious of that. But if you deliver the vehicle to the customer's house, they can go drive this vehicle for a month, 2 months, whatever they want, and simply drive back to you and return the keys, or just stop making payments. So there's a lot of nuances, and that's why it's so important that the dealer body as a whole continues to support NADA and the inroads that they're making with our government, because that is causing friction in the automotive industry. There's a lot of reasons you don't want to deliver to a customer's house.
Why is that, Jason? Why is it that way?
What's that? Oh, the laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, the home.
Because you're conducting the transaction at their home, and you're not doing it at the business, so they didn't engage you at the dealership. I remember when I was in Arizona, when I was coming up through the car business, they used to tell me, "Hey, you are not allowed to ever deliver a vehicle on tribal land. If you do, they don't have to ever make a payment. They don't have to do anything. You just handed them a free vehicle." And then I went to another state, and that state had similar laws in place where you deliver it at their house, you have no protection whatsoever. And that's why a lot of the fraudsters out there are trying to call you up and say, "Hey, just drop it off in my driveway. It'll be great." I had an amazing conversation with the dealer just 3 weeks ago, where customer did all the transaction online, and they went to deliver the house, and there was a couple outside. One was mowing the lawn, one was watering the grass, and they said, "Mr. Jones," and they gave him the keys, gave him the vehicle. Complete fraudsters. These people were out of town, and they were pretending like they were doing. So there's just so many reasons out there, but a lot of it is not just so much the fraud, but it's the government officials, the laws that are in place. They don't protect the dealer, even though the dealer is employing millions of customers across the country, or of employees across the country, and it adds so much revenue to our local communities. So I really think that government officials really need to step in, remove some of this friction that's in place, and help the dealers out a little bit, because it's not just us, getting out there trying to take advantage of a customer. We're there to protect the customer. As I stated with the recalls, we're employing people. The same people that are outside of the dealership are the same people on the inside of the dealership, and it's a community thing. So we all need to work together a little bit more, and that's why I think NAD is so critical to the dealer body.
I got a comment from a gentleman from California. He says there's no cooling off period for new vehicles, but 3 days replacement on used cars in California. I didn't know that, so I learned something.
Cars Act is coming out very strong. I think if you're a dealer in California, you should really pay attention to the Cars Act. The Cars Act went into place October 1st, 2025, but it's actually not instituted until October 2026. If you were a dealer in California or a neighboring state and delivering into California, you really should pay attention, because it is a very litigious state, and you're going to have a lot of consequences if you're not paying attention to that.
So it's called the Cars Act in California?
The Cars Act. It's more directed towards financing and F&I products and things of that nature, but there's a lot of baked in gotchas, so to speak, that dealers should be watching out for.
That's good advice.
Jason, you're telling me if I kept the car from Carvana, I wouldn't have to make a payment?
If they delivered it to your house, it's a used car though. So much, depending on your state, there is a good. They'd be tied up in litigation for a little while. Let's put it that way.
Fantastic. So what do you think is next? I mean, obviously we have the start of digital retail. We have now multiple sources where people are starting that process online. Obviously, there's some hiccups on the delivery or home delivery for various reasons. What do you think the next big change will be as we roll into 2026 in terms of the car buying process? Do you think, the traffic will come back to dealers? Do you think it's going to be more remote? I mean, what do you think? Anyone who wants to start?
I spoke on this on stage a little bit a little while ago when I was at NADA, and it got a lot of comments and questions and things like that. The metal is your cost of acquisition. If you're a dealer, the metal is your cost of acquisition. And I keep on saying that over and over. You're not there to make money on the acquisition. I mean, sell for whatever you can. Like I said, the average profit right now is $3,200, $3,300. It's a lot of good money. Dealers are going to be data centers and customer experience centers for the life cycle of the customer. And they need to double down and focus on that, creating that experience, creating the customer satisfaction, being the go-to source for all things automotive, and really embracing that life cycle of the customer, not focusing on, hey, see the car, see the keys, see you later. It's now going to be focused on the next 7 years of that customer life cycle and bringing their family into the fold. And that is the key to it. And when I say data, with this AI coming out, I know everyone's got their new AI wrappers and greatest, latest and greatest widgets. But dealers a car is going to be a data center, just like the phone that is in your pocket right now. There's so much data that comes out of the vehicle, and the technology that's coming out right now is going to blow your mind. We're going to see the robo-taxis coming out from Tesla. We're going to see highly interactive vehicles like the one Sony and Honda are collaborating on right now. I mean, I got in that vehicle and said, Jason, that's a nice sweater you got on today. Do you want to go to the gym or do you want to go to work? I was like, well, I want to go to the gym, but I got to go to work. And she laughed and started talking to me. I mean, these vehicles are highly interactive, and it's taking all this data that folks like Amazon and all these other tech companies out there are really going to want to buy. So get away from that acquisition mindset. It's not just one and done. It is going to be a life cycle of data taking care of the customer. So that's where I see the car business going, but we'll see.
All right. Thanks for that. Alex, what do you think? Obviously remote service, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, on that side of it, I mean, look, I think if dealerships look after their customers, they're going to get their whole network at the end of the day. And I think if they're, if that customer who's been a loyal customer all their life, they're going to bring their whole family there. So, I think, there's that, customer relationship that you can hold on to for a long time, as long as you don't mess it up. And, Amazon won't get those people because it's just that tight family, relationship. I think that's one big thing that dealerships have is, they get their loyal customers and they're just bringing their whole family there. Where I think, some of the younger generation, they're going to split off and, they're going to see stuff online, the advertisements, the marketing, and they're going to run for that sometimes. But, it's everyone's a little different. So, so it will work for some people, it won't work for others.
Yeah, thanks for that. Peter and I were talking to a company last week that has an immersive test drive experience, in shopping malls, in stores, in a theater thing. So I thought that was really interesting, just because the cars are becoming so technological that some of the salespeople can't keep up to it, and it's hard to train them on that. So I think it's really interesting. I think the experience of buying a car is going to be the thing that changes, and it's long overdue, in my opinion. But Peter, do you want to comment on that?
Well, I'm going to play off what Jason said and kind of follow with you. It's all about the experience. And it's one thing I said, and I'll reiterate it. I don't really care where the customer comes from. The key is the dealer's got to own that relationship. They've got to own that data. That's got to be where they're going to put their focus for all their follow-up marketing. So all these great tools are coming about, and all these great AIs and those immersive experiences and these car buying processes, the Walmart car buying process. At the end of the day, when that customer shows up at the dealership, we as dealers, we have got to provide them an exceptional experience. We've got to change that perception that car buying is like going to the dentist and having a root canal. And if we can do that and maintain that relationship and have that data, and then use all of these wonderful tools that we saw at NADA, all these AI things and all these follow-up things and all these automated things to make sure that we are giving the people the kind of relationship and experience that Jason had when he got in that car and started talking to him. We want to be doing personalized messaging where it's a little video coming across, whether it be a video email or a video text message, where we're literally keeping that customer, letting them know that we as a dealer, we care about them, we want their business, we want them as a customer for life. And I think that is going to be the key. If we can help the dealers wrap their hands and heads around this idea of building that deeper relationship through data and technology, they're going to have that customer coming in year after year after year for sales and service. And when their kids turn 16 and they're ready for a car, they're going to bring their kids in, not because we're getting the best price on Amazon or we're going over to Walmart and getting, $30 less per month on a payment. It's because, you know what, I'm going to buy from that dealer that actually cares about me and takes the time to service me properly. I think that's where this is going.
Peter, you mind if I jump in on that really quick?
Oh, go ahead.
You brought up something really kind of critical that bridges the gap between all of this. We already talked about how Amazon is selling vehicles with open recalls on them, and it is happening, and senators are getting involved and things like that. Imagine a world where you bought the vehicle on Amazon, they sold you a vehicle with a recall on it. Instead of getting an email, you got a video message where somebody took the time and FaceTimed you and said, hey, you got an open recall on your vehicle. I know we just sold it to you. We checked the history. You bought it through Amazon, so I do apologize about it. It's pretty important. It's not critical, but it is important that you get in right now. I care about you as a customer, a friend. You've been doing business with us. Do you mind bringing this vehicle in, and we'll get the recall taken care of right now? So all in one fell swoop.
Wow.
We took care of the recall. We made a relationship, and they know, hey, this is not some excuse my French, but BS text message or email. It is actually a relationship where I'm like, look at this. My salesperson over there picked up his phone, recorded a video, told me my vehicle was unsafe, and got me in there just like that. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to tell everyone. I am going to be a customer for life just because of that level of service. And that's where this economy is going to go in the automotive industry. It's going to be a hybrid where there's the relationship, but we're speeding up that process and addressing the time delays. We don't need to spend 14 and a half hours researching and buying a car. We can do it a lot faster, a lot smoother, but the relationship is going to be important.
100%. Wow. Well, we're almost out of time. Chris, why don't you start with final thoughts? Go ahead.
I think that the dealers that are going to excel in the future are going to be those that really empower their sales teams to market themselves and drive their own traffic and brand themselves in the localized market on social media as a trusted resource for automotive shopping. And the way they do it, in my opinion, is capture, the first step is delight the customers with an exceptional experience. We all talked about that. The common theme on what everyone just said was the customer experience. It's so vital. And I always tell salespeople, don't expect people to give you a testimonial or a review for doing the expected. You got to do above and beyond today. You have to really create a memorable experience. And when you do, you create a customer for life that becomes a raving fan that will send you their friends and family, and they'll come back time and time again. And by the way, your CSI scores go up. So it's a win-win-win when you focus on this part of the business. But I truly believe that when you do that and you offer that incredible experience, and then you capture it with a testimonial, and you have these salespeople marketing them out, then they're generating their own traffic. One thing that I'm telling every sales manager that I talk to, all the leadership is, when you're interviewing salespeople today, ask salespeople that prospect what they're doing on social media to brand themselves in the local market. Because if they say nothing next, you want to get those local influencers. Now, I'm not talking about the Russ Flips Whips guys that have millions of followers. I'm talking about the 5,000 to 10,000 followers in the local market. You want those people representing you and your brand, because those people will drive their own traffic to the store. And that, I think, is the key. And those are the dealers that are going to succeed.
Thanks for that. Alex?
Yeah, the reality is the industry isn't dying, it's evolving. And the ones who understand that early will definitely win big. The future of car sales won't be decided in the showroom. It's all decided before the customer even gets there. So, I think, everything's evolving and, people will have to adapt to the little changes in the market.
Thanks for that. Peter?
I just first of all want to thank everybody. I think we had an incredible panel. We had a great variety of ideas, but I really think that things are changing and we need to be aware of that. I always look at the Amazon as the 800-pound gorilla, and unfortunately, we do a lot of marketing with a lot of other companies in different industries, and I've seen Amazon, just because of the convenience, put small business out of business. Car deal is a little different animal. We've got, the NADA behind us. We have big lobbying groups. We've been through a lot of good times and a lot of bad times. So I don't think it's going to ever go away, because consumers, like Chris said, they're going to want to go sit in a car and test drive it and just feel it and get that experience. I find it hard to believe that people are actually spending $60,000, $70,000 on a purchase without not first touching and feeling it. So I'm an old car guy. I think that's always going to be around, but I love what's happening. This is a way that can help dealers, but we have to always keep, our eyes open to make sure that we're protecting what we built over the years.
Thanks for that. Jason, final word to you.
Those are all really good comments. So I don't know if I could add much onto it, but the car business is evolving, as we kind of said a little bit, and it's more of that omni-channel approach that we've been talking about for years and years. A dealership employs, on average, across the nation, 65 or so employees per, and they generate billions of dollars for our local communities, our government, and just everything else. Amazon is not replacing the ecosystem. It is plugging into it. The jobs, the fixed ops bays, the local economic impact, and the way that we take care of customers, they can only plug into us. So we need to embrace it together and realize that it is a hybrid system. They're not coming to burn down the dealership. They're coming to fill it up with customers. So the dealers that really buy into that, I think they're going to win. The rest of them that are just naysayers and stuff, I think they're going to get left behind.
100%. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for all your thoughts. And the question is Amazon or not? I think it's a continuing discussion. I think you've got to look at customer experience no matter where you source that customer. And you've got to look at multiple sources, especially self-driven, but also from other areas. I think that ecosystem of leads being driven into the dealership is changing, and that's a good thing. Anyway, have yourself a great week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.
Great job.